Now, let's talk about the Philippine literature. During the pre-colonial period, we have already exhibited varieties of traditional narratives, speeches, and songs that were passed down through word of mouth, reflecting daily lives such as housework and hunting. As the Spaniards reached the Philippines during the Spanish colonization period, religion became an important theme in literary works. There are two forms: religious prose and poetry, and secular prose and poetry. After 330 years, marks the American colonization period. The common themes during this period were the desire for love and freedom, love for the country, and fight against colonialism and imperialism. Prominent writers and their works. First, we have Dr. Jose Rizal, also known as the national hero of the Philippines. He is well known for his revolutionary works such as Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. Second, we have Francisco Balagtas, a prominent Filipino poet. He is known for his works Florante at Laura and Orosmar at Zafira. What is the significance of our literature to our community and the world? Well, actually, with the help of some literary works, we can explore and understand our humanity as Filipinos. These works mirror our history, which shape our culture and beliefs in the past. Not only that, but it brings awareness to the different issues in society, such as environmental, political, education, peace, and others. If you ask me what significant piece would serve as the Philippines representative, I'll say it's the works of Dr. Jose Rizal. Throughout famous works, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo by Dr. Jose Rizal are two of the primary reasons how the Filipinos awakened from the rule of the Spaniards. These literary pieces were one of the factors why the Filipinos chose to start a revolution, to stand up, and to seek independence.
Considering the geographic scale of the United States and its diverse population, there are many literary revolutions taking place simultaneously, and so it doesn't have a definite grouping of periods. But nevertheless, literary academics still made an attempt to do so. From here, I'm going to discuss a different widely accepted range of American literature. But just a disclaimer, the brief history that I will be discussing is cited from an article from 2019 written by Burgess himself. However, I'd only be mentioning a few of them. The first is the colonial period. It includes the founding of Jamestown up to a decade before the Revolutionary War. Most of the publications were historical, realistic, or religious, and some of the notable authors from that time are Anne Bradstreet and John Winthrop. After this, the Revolutionary Age started, which is arguably the finest era of political writing since classical antiquity. Important publications include the Declaration of Independence, the Federalist Papers, and the poetry of Joel Parlow and the Philip Freneau. The next period, which is early national period, it is responsible for the different notable works such as the first American comedy written on stage, The Contrast by Royal Tyler, written in 1787, and the first American novel, The Power of Sympathy by William Hill. The next era is widely accepted as the greatest in American literature, the American Renaissance. This period is also known as the Romantic period in America and the Age of Transcendentalism. Well, I've told you about the brief history of the American literature, so of course, I'm going to mention some of its outstanding authors and their works, starting with one of the greatest novels written, as claimed by many literary critics, The Great Gatsby. written by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This novel has a movie adaptation produced in 2013 to further illustrate its greatness. Next is Edgar Allan Poe, who wrote differently from the English tradition. His works include one of the first detective stories, The Murder in the Rue Morgue, and The Raven, which is one of the best-known poems at that time. Speaking of poems, A Song of Hiawatha and Paul Revere's Right are two of the famous poems written by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Lastly, Harper Lee, despite only publishing 2 books, and that are The Kill a Mockingbird and Go Set a Watchman, which are both controversial, well, she was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom because of her works. Those are the prominent and known authors in the American literature. Besides its significance to the world, American literature reminds their own people of their freedom and diversity. And considering the covered areas of the USA, it's just what they need. Talking about the literary piece that can represent America, I think that will be The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. And why? Simply because in this novel, we can see here the American dream, which is one of the main themes of American literatures. That quote, "If you work hard enough, you can succeed," end quote. It was authored by Jeff Nielsen, a historian for the bi-monthly The Saturday Evening Post. Though at the end of the novel, it eventually shows the failure of this American dream. Also, in line with an article written in 2013 by Donahue, The Great Gatsby remains relevant, which we can notice with the fact that it was written in 1925. Yet, 88 years later, it was adopted into a movie. So yeah, if you'd like to understand what I really mean with this one, and if you'd like to dwell deeper into the American literature, I suggest for you to read it. These are the differences between the Philippine and American literature. First is that the Philippine literature usually focuses on the country's pre-colonial culture tradition, whilst the American literature's theme focuses on the influences of the society. And second, American literature's theme mostly talks about the involvement of oneself. Meanwhile, Philippine literature's theme is more about the socio-political histories of colonial and contemporary traditions. Of course, if there are differences between them, there should also be similarities between the American and the Philippine literatures. First and foremost is that the technology and advancement are both evident within the American and Philippine literature due to the modernization that we have. And lastly, identity and the American dream are quite alike because they indicate the equality of a citizen.
In the Philippines, some works in the contemporary period turned misogynistic, degraded women's sexual ideas, was naive to social issues, and even joked about rape and molestation. Even then, during the Spanish period, we can observe these challenges when one of Jose Rizal's novels, El Filibusterismo, was banned in some parts of the country as it exposed and was against the Spanish government. During the American period, writers imitated the styles of British and American writers, which resulted in an unnatural and rigid style of writing. Currently in America, there has been an increase in the literature written by ethnic, Native American, and LGBTQ+ writers. So in the same way, most of the novels written today includes people of color and LGBTQ+ community and much more of an avant-garde. This is a challenge for most, as not all people are open to these kinds of the ideas, because I have stated it is out of the ordinary for them.
Literature may not be a mere necessity in our world, but this is what makes life meaningful and interesting. In conclusion, literature all over the world may differ in style, plot, and other elements, but they have one thing in common: that they can save our lives one day.